Hello everyone, this is Mohammad Zarour. I'm here today in order to present our paper about the use of SWEBOK as a benchmarking tool for organizational process assessment and improvement through case studies. Now, as you know, the SWEBOK is the guide to the software engineering body of knowledge. It contributes to the recognition of the software engineering as an engineering discipline, and the SWEBOK is adopted as an ISO standard under the number 19759, and the third version of this standard has been released in 2015. The SWEBOK version 3 consists of 15 knowledge area that covers the all knowledge areas and processes in the software process. And the main research problem that we want to tackle in this paper is related to the domain of software process improvement. And as you know, in software process improvement, we have different models like CMMI, Bootstrap, ISO 15504, and ISO 9001. And these standards or models aim to improve the productivity, product quality, and customer satisfaction. And the model-based software process improvement starts by the assessment of the organization's current process and conduct gap analysis. Then the question is, how can we use the SWEBOK as an assessment tool to conduct analysis of software process of certain organization? So the purpose here is to illustrate practically the use of SWEBOK guide for benchmarking purposes and process improvement. Now, this is an example that shows you one of the knowledge areas in SWEBOK, which is software requirements. For the software requirement knowledge area, we have different subtopics, and each subtopic by itself has its own subtopics and practices. And these practices should be met for the organizations who are, for example, interested in or doing software requirements. So what we do is we have developed an assessment tool, a questionnaire, that covers the different knowledge areas, subtopics, and practices for each knowledge area in the SWEBOK. This is an example of question, for example. The question related to the development of functional, non-functional requirements. So the question is, does your method or development process define functional requirements and or non-functional requirements? And the answer should be one of four possible options, whether the two types of requirements are present, no functional requirement, no non-functional requirement, or none is present. And based on the answer for each of these questions, for this question, for example, based on the answer, we decide what other following questions to ask. If there is, for example, no requirement present in this organization, there is no need to ask any questions related to the functional requirements or non-functional requirements, and so on. So the data collection. We have collected the data for two case studies. Case study 1 was a governmental agency that has more than 5,000 information technology employees and mostly do development and management information systems, and they have 15 to 20 projects every year. It took around 2 full days of assessment to complete the SWEBOK questionnaire for this organization. For the second organization, which is a private company, it has 75 information technology employees, and the organization had 2 major management information applications that are basically for in development and maintenance. The first company here, they had no maintenance projects, so the maintenance knowledge area is not covered for this organization, while it is covered for this organization. And the assessment took around 1 single day to complete the SWEBOK assessment tool. And once we collected the information, as you can see here for case study 1, these are the covered knowledge areas, and these percentage represent the coverage level per knowledge area. And as you can see here, these knowledge areas covered more than 60% of the practices related to each of these knowledge areas. And these knowledge areas, as you can see, are related to the life cycle processes and testing. Now, the other three knowledge areas here, the coverage level was less than 60% per each, which means that the practices related to each of these knowledge area needs to be studied, and further improvements are needed to improve their coverage level. For the second case study, these are the different knowledge areas that have been covered, and as you can see, the coverage level for all knowledge areas was less than 60%. This is a figure that depicts the different knowledge areas that have been assessed for case study 1, for example, and the percentage level for each knowledge area. The software maintenance is not covered as they don't have maintenance projects. As you can see, these are the different coverage levels per knowledge area, and these in black are the subtopics that needs more improvement per knowledge area. And all the findings that we had for different organizations have been analyzed, and the strength and weakness points, the gap analysis have been presented to the companies in order to give them an idea about where they can start improving their process areas. Then the second part of this paper is related to the benchmarking with well-known repository that includes hundreds or thousands of software projects with different measures. So in this benchmarking activity, we have measured for case study 1, for example, we have measured the size of the 16 projects by collecting the functional size measure for these 16 projects. For case study 2, we have measured the functional size for 5 projects. Then we have developed a regression model, as you can see here for the first case study. We have developed a regression model to predict the final effort we have, the fixed and variable effort. So this regression model, and this is the formula that shows you the variable and fixed effort for these projects in organization 1. Then we have benchmarked the findings for the case study 1, for example. This is organization 1, the number of projects used, the fixed effort, the variable effort, and we compared them to similar projects from ISBSG, and the projects collected from ISBSG have been grouped into governmental projects and financial projects, and these are the number of projects per group and the fixed and variable effort for each. And as you can see, that the organization fixed effort, which is 2011, for example, is very comparable to the fixed effort of the governmental institutions, but it is almost 7 times higher than that for the financial sector. And for the variable effort, here, it is almost triple the ISBSG governmental sample, while it is almost double that of the private sector. Now, in order to come up with more accurate productivity model, the 16 projects we have here have been divided further into 2 groups, and these 2 groups are the least productive projects. We have 5 projects, and the most productive projects, we have 11 projects. Then we have developed the regression model for each group, and end up with the fixed and variable effort for each. So when we compare back with the ISBSG project sample, we find that the fixed effort of the 11 most productive projects, which is 3,208, is much higher than that for the ISBSG group for both sets, governmental and financial. And if we compare the variable effort, which is for the most productive projects, which is 17.1, it is very similar to the ISBSG financial projects, which is around 16.4, but it is still higher than that for the ISBSG projects, which is 10.4. So what is the conclusion of this benchmarking? The conclusion basically is that the SWEBOK as an assessment tool is very useful to conduct the assessment and get an idea about the weakness points and the strength points in an organizational software process and where the organization can start their improvement initiatives. This is the first thing. But the second thing here in the benchmarking and estimating the effort, we found that our estimations are sometimes very close to what is in the industry, and sometimes it's not close, which means that we need more experiments in order to understand the influencing factor and how can we improve our predictions in the future. So this is the main conclusion and the future work that we are planning to do in the future. Thank you very much.